The blade sparkled with the same lethal current as the lance. Military training kicked in, far more useful than I'd expected when in the classroom. I took half a second to assess the battlefield. Both foes should be capable of flight, but the one already in the air would have a short-term mobility advantage, and therefore must be the priority target. Whatever happened, I couldn't allow these foes close. Their weapons had considerable reach, far longer than military-issue machetes, and the electricity might just overwhelm the deflection bracer as easily as the trap had. Then a new problem surfaced. Where was number 3? Luna had been so certain that there would be 3. My combat experience amounted to 2 days of fighting in these folded realms. Back at Fort Worth, they drilled us on tactical awareness, explaining that it won battles and that supply chains win wars. And there's no tactical disadvantage more severe than fighting a foe you can't see. The aerial aspect closed the distance slowly, its lance tip crackling with power. It was content to wait, which didn't fit the rough moniker Luna's people had given them. That could only mean one thing. It had a reason not to charge. I spun around, spotting the third foe 20 meters away as it crept into a flanking position. I was too badly hurt to conserve mana. I called upon the miracle of calculation to guide a round right between his eyes. I didn't know precisely where the system drew a line between a critical and a normal hit, but this shot was well past that line. The angel's trident fell from its hand as magma erupted from the wound. Thick geysers spurted in all directions. Scorching heat washed over my face even from this distance. An acrid stench of sulphur and charred flesh filled my nostrils. To add insult to the obviously fatal injury, ice shards pelted the corpse from above, each impact making a crackling sound as the ice shattered. The sounds overlapped: ice, magma, the hum of electricity, and the clatter of the trident striking stone. 1 down. 2 to go. Hopefully, the show of force would buy us time to regroup. The show of force did not give us time to regroup. The foes spoke the only language they knew, answering with violence. Celestas! The aerial aspect screamed at me. The word was an accusation, translating as villain or scoundrel. This was no precursor to a charge. The screaming foe was already charging. I knew the cataclysmic criticals took a few seconds to recharge, but I still didn't know the exact timing. The system was frustratingly opaque. I still had a gun, my fully charged defensive bracer, and preternatural aim, but these angels looked tough. Luna, the swordsman is yours, I barked, my voice tight with pain. The greatsword-wielding aspect surged forward, a blur of marble white and crackling energy. Luna met him without hesitation. Her polearm, a cruel weapon scarred by many battles, became a silver streak. It deflected the greatsword's overhead swing with a deafening clang that resounded across the stone. Sparks showered the ground where the weapons met. I had no time to watch their duel. The skyborn aspect descended. His lance pointed directly at my heart, a spear of condensed lightning. I raised the Glock, my right hand steady despite screaming protests from every nerve in my left arm. I squeezed the trigger, once, twice, 4 times. The miracle of calculation plotted a perfect path to his perfect face, but even a miracle could not overcome his near invulnerability. Each bullet stuck his cheek or forehead, producing no killing blow, no stopping power, and little more than a series of flat, metallic bongs. The impacts did not even make him blink. His charge did not slow. The lightning grew brighter. Calm yourself, Elishia, I thought to myself. Wrath, is this a berserker's charge? Does he have a miracle that rewards aggression with a significant defensive effect? Is that why I can't hurt him? I twisted, planting my feet and raising my left arm. The bracer was my only real defense, and that lightning was going to hurt. Pain shot from my still broken wrist up to my shoulder as I locked my elbow. The lance aimed for my left eye. The bracer responded, catapulting me backwards. The world vanished behind a white detonation of force and agony. It felt like the lightning trap all over again, combined with the agony of an eyeball being gouged. The bracer screamed, a high-pitched whine as it absorbed energy that should have atomized me. And the bracer did something I'd never seen before. It overloaded, crackling with energy. There would be only one use of the bracer in this fight. I flew backward like a stone skipped across water. My wings flared on newfound instincts, dragging against the air to slow my tumble. I landed in a clumsy heap, my left arm a useless weight at my side. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard bones grind inside my EVA suit, and felt rocks tearing into my skin as I slid backward. I scrambled back to my feet, Glock still clutched in my good hand. The aerial aspect hovered 20 meters away. his expression of contempt replaced by a sliver of surprise. He had expected a kill. My foe circled, assessing me, his lance gathering another charge of electricity. My bracer was spent, one arm was ruined, and Luna was losing a life or death struggle with the second aspect. This was not going well. Luna's fight was a symphony of desperation played in ringing steel. The aspect's greatsword carved arcs of destruction. Luna and her polearm were like a dancer trying to parry a landslide. She was faster, her movements economical and precise. The sheer might behind the angel's blows drove her back step by agonizing step. Each parry sent shudders through her body, her feet skidding on the stone. She was barely holding a defense together and had no opening to even attempt a counterattack. She would tire and fall within seconds. The surprise on the face of the aspect of justice attacking me bled away, replaced by the same cold fury as before. The electrical charge building on his lance hummed with renewed power. "Fugitive ex grande," he hissed. "Your defiance ends now." A small part of me noticed that he'd shifted to English, but the urgency of the situation pushed that question aside for now. My normal bullets were useless against him, and what remained was the all-or-nothing gamble of unleashing another cataclysmic critical. How long had it been since I'd vaporized the first angel? 6 seconds? 7? I knew there was a delay before I could fire another, but had it expired yet? My gaze flicked to Luna. A greatsword drove downward at her, and she barely twisted aside as the stone at her feet exploded into rubble. She stumbled as the aspect raised its blade to attempt a killing blow. A new movement drew my eye. Unnoticed to us all, Tara hefted the fallen angel's trident and hurled it at Luna's opponent. It sailed 14 meters and struck true. It wasn't enough to harm the aspect, but it did distract it. There was no more time. I sucked in a ragged breath, ignoring the fire in my nerves and the weakness consuming my body. I planted my feet and raised the Glock with my good arm. The sight settled on the aspect about to strike a killing blow. I didn't aim for his head this time. I aimed for his chest, the center of mass, the largest and easiest target. The miracle of calculation flooded my mind with trajectories, probabilities, temperature gradients, and more. "Luna, drop!" I'd chosen my target. Once it became 2 against 1, Luna's speed would let her close the gap, and her halberd would break my opponent's lance. My foe couldn't ignore her, and so she was the key to win my duel. It was time to apply maximum force to the opponent's weakest point. The world narrowed to the space between my eye and the Glock sight. Time slowed to a crawl. My finger tightened on the trigger, a single, deliberate squeeze. Everything depended on this. The shot landed, and the cost hit hard as thousands of mana were ripped through me. Spiritual fatigue washed over me as Luna's target was torn apart 3 times, first by the bullet, then a storm of icicles, and finally by spears of superheated magma. Her foe collapsed and wasn't going to rise soon. Luna sprinted towards me. At the same time, Tara sprinted for the fallen aspect, seized its oversized sword, and brought it down in a brutal beheading. System messages confirmed the kill. I received thousands of combat XP, and my maximum health, mana, and resolve all increased again. If I survived this mess, I would check the statistics then. The lance wielder glared at me in blind rage, exactly as I had planned. Luna had not yet revealed the full extent of her speed. It allowed her to close gaps and dictate the range of engagement. That advantage ensured the aspect was caught completely by surprise, as Luna's halberd chopped cleanly through his lance, turning a devastating electrified spear into nothing more than a low-quality wooden quarterstaff. I fired 12 shots to distract the aspect. I aimed for knees, elbows, shoulders, and wing joints, anywhere that would bring down a human. This should have emptied the magazine, but the gun slowly regenerated bullets on its own. Luna's offensive style was precise and relentless, heavy overhead strikes weaving into deft stabs with the spikes on the halberd's back end as easily as a spider weaved silk. The violent dance ended as Luna's halberd struck home. An overhead strike changed direction at the last second, diverting from the well-protected head and into the more exposed shoulder, severing an arm and a wing. "Fugitive execrande!" he screamed again. Accursed fugitive. Given the twisted justice these monsters enforced, I would wear that title with pride. The aspect of justice looked to have more bile to spew, but 3 more halberd strikes ensured we would never hear its final words. Tara vented his rage on the corpses, finding ingenious and horrific ways to desecrate them. It was hard to watch, but a part of me understood. I'd do the same to anyone who hurt my boys. Luna's voice cut through the haze. "We need to move. We need to get back to Ultima Vigila now. Once these three are missed, there'll be retaliation. It will be bad. Luna's words cut through the adrenaline that kept me standing. What she said made sense. Just by surviving, we might have kicked a hornet's nest. Agreed, I said, my voice hoarse. Let's move. But first, salvage, Luna replied, as she hefted not one, but two of the corpses over her shoulder. Tara, grab the other one. Elishia, use your good arm. Carry the weapons. I glanced at my left arm. It was useless. The thick material of the EVA suit, the only thing holding it together. Inside was a mess of ground bone and screaming nerves. Pain, throbbing pain, began to assert itself as the rush of combat faded. But my right arm could still do some good. I holstered the gun, pocketed the spear point, threw the trident over my bad shoulder, and then lifted the enormous sword. Just days ago, I'd have struggled lifting it with both hands. It must have weighed 60 or 70 kilograms. It went over my good shoulder, and we ran. Luna herded Tara between us. Stay close, boy. They won't get you again. The lad, his face smeared with grime and angel blood, gave a quick nod. We set off, a lurching, painful jog across the scorched plains towards the distant silhouette of Ultima Vigilia. Each step sent a pulse of agony up my ruined arm. I focused on Luna's back, on putting one foot in front of the other. We'd won the skirmish, and 3 angels were dead. But the price was high. My bracer was overloaded, and I didn't know how to repair it, or even if it could be fixed. My body was broken, and my mana was worrying low. But I ran. What else could I do?